do in the aftershocks of COVID. And I'm proud to say, Mr. Speaker, that this week it was revealed that unemployment has come down to the lowest level since 1974, when I was 10 years old, Mr. Speaker. I don't know how old he was, but I was 10 years old.
Yes, Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, hang on. Last week he said, we'll have a look at it. Yesterday he voted against it. Anyone picking up the papers today would think they're for it, and now he says he's against it again. Clear as mud. To be fair, it's not like the rest of his cabinet know what they think either. The same day the Chancellor said it was something he was looking at, the Justice Secretary said it would be disastrous. The Business Secretary called it a bad idea, but also said he'd consider a Spanish-style windfall tax. 1 minute they're ruling it in, the next they're ruling it out. When will he stop the hokey-cokey and just back Labour's plan for a windfall tax to cut household bills?
Mr. Speaker, the Labour's plans are always and everywhere to raise taxes on business, and that's what they did. I remember him campaigning in 2019, Mr. Speaker, on the biggest taxes for business that this country has ever seen. That's their instinct. Now, look. This country and the world faces problems in the cost of energy, driven partly by COVID and partly by Putin's war of choice in Ukraine. And we always knew that there would be a short-term cost in weaning ourselves off Putin's hydrocarbons and in sanctioning the Russian economy. Everybody in this House voted for those sanctions. We knew that it would be tough. But I just want to tell the right honourable gentleman that giving in, not sticking the course, would ultimately be the far greater economic risk. Yes, of course, Mr. Speaker, we will look at measures. We will look at all the measures that we need to take, Mr. Speaker, to get people through to the other side. But, Mr. Speaker, the only reason we can do that is because we took the tough decisions that were necessary during the pandemic, which would not have been possible if we'd listened to him.
You lying sack of shit. You didn't take any decisions.
He just doesn't get it, does he?
No.
He doesn't actually understand what working families are going through in this country, struggling about how they're going to pay their bills.
Yep.
And whilst he dithers, British households are slapped with an extra £53 million on their energy bills every single day. Meanwhile, every single day, North Sea oil and gas giants rake in £32 million in unexpected profits. Doesn't he see that every single day he delays his inevitable U-turn, is going to do it?
Yeah.
He's choosing to let people struggle when they don't need to.
Mr. Speaker, he says that this government has no sympathy for people who are struggling and working. Let me tell you, it is precisely. Let me tell you what we're already doing. We're already spending £22 billion.
What are you doing?
We're already helping people with the cost of living in any way that we can, Mr. Speaker. In any way that you can. The reason we can do that is because we took the tough decisions to get this country through COVID, to make sure that we came out of lockdown in the way that was necessary, and to have a strong economy with robust employment growth, Mr. Speaker. And we will continue to take. And he talks about cutting taxes. In July, we will have the biggest tax cut for 10 years, £330 cut
what, for the millionaires?
For the millionaires. 30 million people who are paying national
30
insurance
millionaires.
contributions. And the reason we can do that, Mr. Speaker, is because we have a strong and robust economy. I'm going to look at all measures in future to support people. Of course I am. But the only reason we can do that, the only reason our companies are in such robust health is because of the decisions that this government has taken.
Robust decisions.
Mr. Speaker, still pretending the economy is booming, still got his head in the sand in the middle of an economic crisis. The Prime Minister keeps saying more help is coming. But we've heard it all before.
Yeah?
May the 13th, he stood there.
Can you hear me
and
all
said,
right, by the way?
We will do more.
Let me know in the comments.
Now. A week has passed and there's been nothing.
Nothing.
On
Nothing.
April the 19th, he stood there and said, we will do more as soon as we can.
Yeah.
A month has passed and still nothing. The Chancellor said, wait until the
all
autumn.
right, Sam.
At least he's honest that
We
the
can hear
plan
you.
is to do
Oh, good.
nothing.
Good news, Mark.
But doesn't the Prime Minister realise
No, he doesn't realise
that
anything.
working people across
He's a
the
dickhead.
country can't afford to wait while he vacillates?
Yeah.
It's time to make his mind up.
Yeah. Vacillates.
I'll tell you
That's a
what's
word
happened
he likes to use.
in the last month.
What's happened?
We've got 300,000
You've
more
been
people
done for.
off welfare.
You've
and
had
into work
100 people
on our-
being
on
given
our-
a fine.
on
You've
our
had
way to work programme, Mr.
MPs
Speaker.
getting
And
going down
and
for
it is,
child abuse. You've
because
now
we
got
get
an
people
MP
into
gone
work,
down
that
for
those families, those
rape.
people are £6,000
Multiple
a
counts
year
of rape.
better off. It's by getting people
Tory
into work that we
animals,
fix the long-term
absolute
problems of
barbarians,
this economy.
scumbags.
His answer, Mr. Speaker, his answer, in addition to putting up taxes, his answer
Is that
is
better?
to borrow more. We heard it from the Shadow Chancellor this morning. She says she wants to borrow almost another £30 billion. That's what she says.
Oh, 30
Do you know
billion
what that means,
pounds.
Mr. Speaker?
Yeah?
It means more pressure on interest.
What, like the
It means
37
pressure on
billion that you
mortgages. It means
stupid
pressure on every
twat
family,
spent
every man,
on
woman,
a test
child
and trace
in
app
this
that didn't
country, Mr.
fucking
Speaker.
work?
That's Labour economic policy. That is why
Yeah,
there's never been
there's
a
someone
Labour
missing there,
government
Mark.
left office with unemployment lower than when it
What are you
came in.
talking about?
That's the reality.
No worries, Tom.
Mr. Speaker, on the day when inflation went to 9%, the highest for 40
9%.
years, I think the watching public, the least they can
Highest
expect is
for
a
40
Prime Minister
years.
who concentrates on the cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
Clearly, he just can't make his mind up. So
Oh, he
let's
can.
have a look
He's made
at
his mind
who's
up to
for
do
it
nothing.
and who's against
Fill
it.
his pockets with
On
the
one
nation's
side,
cash.
the chair of Tesco, the chair of John Lewis, the chair of the Treasury Select Committee, the chair of the Education Select Committee, Lord Hague, Lord Brown, the old CEO of BP, all support a windfall tax. Even the current boss of BP says it wouldn't discourage investment. And
Yeah.
on the other side,
Almost as though the Tories are
the
fucking
member
liars.
for North East Somerset.
Oh,
When he's
Rees-Mogg.
not sticking notes on people's desks like some overgrown prefect, is dead set against it. When is he finally going to get
Overgrown
a grip,
prefect.
stand up for the people of Britain, and get on the right side of the
And
argument?
number 3.
Mr. Speaker, nothing could be more transparent from this exchange
Mog.
than their lust to raise taxes on business. Mr. Speaker, we don't.
Businesses, no.
We don't
Windfall
really
tax on the
we don't
energy
wanna do it.
companies.
We don't want to do it. Of course, we don't want to do it. We
Yeah,
believe in
'cause
jobs
you're
and we
a
believe
bunch
in
of rat
investment
bags.
and we believe in growth.
They've just
And
said
as it
that they'll
happens,
still
the oil
invest.
The oil companies concerned are on track to invest about £70 billion into our economy over
they?
the next few years. They're
Thanks,
already
Alexis.
capped,
Thanks for the super
Mr.
chat.
Speaker, at a rate of
good to be back.
40%. Mr. Speaker, what we want to see is investment in the long-term energy provision of our country, which they've signally failed to do, by the way,
Oh, right,
cancelling our nuclear power investment. He talks of the people who are suffering from high energy prices in this country today, Mr. Speaker, have previous Labour governments to blame. for
Oh,
this
right!
mistake.
It's
And
the
of
previous
course-
Labour
of
governments.
course we
These
will look
cunts have
at
been in
all
charge for
sensible
12
measures, Mr.
years.
Speaker, but we will
12
be driven
fucking
by
years.
considerations
These cunts
of
have been in
growth,
charge. 12
investment and
fucking
employment. I
years.
just remind you,
And
Mr.
it's Labour's
Speaker,
fault.
that
And it's Labour's
unemployment's
fault.
now hit a record
Hi,
low
Joe,
for
how's it
50
going?
years, I should say, and
You
employment
fucking
is now,
disgusting,
I think,
syphilitic
500,000 people more
bag
now
of
in paid
custard.
employment, payroll
Fred
employment
Westminster.
than there were before the pandemic
Scumbag.
began.
Absolute scumbag.
So he's on the
Syphilitic
side of excess
blancmange.
profits for oil and gas companies. We're on the
Yeah.
side of working people. And
Yeah.
there you have it. But he clearly doesn't like me pushing him on this. But the reason I keep coming
Previous
back
Labour
to this
government, yeah.
subject and
Yeah,
why it's
Elizabeth.
so frustrating that he hasn't acted is because so many people are living through this nightmare and they feel totally abandoned by their government.
Yep.
This week, I spoke to Phoenix Halliwell. A rare kidney condition means Phoenix has to do dialysis from home 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. For 5 days a week, just so he can take his daughter Rosie to school.
Wow.
His dialysis is life-saving, so he can't turn it off. So even though his wife, who's a midwife in the NHS, works extra shifts, during the winter, they had to turn their central heating off, and Phoenix skips meals to make ends meet. But their energy bill has still doubled. Phoenix says he feels like he's being priced out of existence.
Yeah.
And it's not just him. Millions of our disabled, elderly and vulnerable neighbours are at the sharp end of this crisis. They simply can't afford to live with dignity. The decisions we make here matter. The cost of indecision is enormous. People across the country need action now. The plans are already there. The Prime Minister, stop the delay. Work with us to put them in place. Do it for households that face bills they can't afford. And do it for Phoenix, who simply can't afford to wait.
Mr. Speaker, I'd be grateful if you could send me the details of the SAD case, because
The details of the SAD case. There's millions of them, you stupid twat.
The NHS does cover the costs of those who are on dialysis, Mr. Speaker, but if you send
Cover the costs?
and by the way, of course,
What,
they
for the
voted
heating
against
costs?
the vital investment in
the NHS cover that?
that this country needs. And I
Yeah,
just
you
remind,
brought in the
him
buses that you didn't bring in.
The key point. None of this is possible. The investment in the NHS isn't possible. The 22 billion that we've already put in isn't possible. The further investment that we're going to put in isn't possible without the strong economy that this government in this country has delivered.
Hi, Duke.
And it's because we took the tough decisions that I have mentioned.
You haven't made
that
any
we
fucking
have
tough decisions, you
record low
lying sack of
unemployment.
shit.
You
haven't made any tough decisions. You just haven't done it.
And this Queen's
You
speech
absolute
that we've been debating
gobshite.
is about putting in the infrastructure,
What
the
is it
skills,
about?
the technology that
The
will build,
skills.
continue
Yeah.
to build the platform,
Making people
for
pay
growth
through
and
the
jobs in
nose
this country.
for
And
their
that
own
is what
education.
this government is committed to doing, and that is the best way
Absolute
out of
scumbag.
economic
Look at him
problems.
jabbing his
I thought it
little
was
finger.
fantastic, by the way, yesterday to see Her Majesty the Queen open Crossrail. 72,000 jobs that has already delivered, 90 billion.
More to do with the
it will
Mayor of
produce
London.
for the
How come when
whole of
Crossrail
the
goes
UK
wrong, it's the Mayor of
economy?
London's
Well,
fault,
let me
but
just
when it
ask
goes
the
right,
honourable
it's
gentleman,
down to
Who
you?
was the Mayor of London when Crossrail was first started to be
Still
built,
talking
Mr.
about
Speaker?
20 years
And
ago.
Who was the Prime Minister who completed it, Mr. Speaker? We get the big things done, Mr.
Yeah,
Speaker. There's
4
never been
years
a Labour
late
government
and
that left
21
office
billion
with
over
unemployment
budget.
lower than when they began.
Well done, twat face.
Mr. Speaker, as the Prime Minister knows,
Softball
thanks for
question
visiting
us
us in
from
Leyland a couple of weeks ago.
disgusting
as he knows,
Tory.
knocking on doors, their crime and antisocial behaviour is a big issue.
You are the party of crime and antisocial behaviour.
Local police,
Part of the
when
problem is you've all a
response
bunch of
calls are required,
rapists.
Are having to come in from Preston or the lovely Chorley. Now Lancashire has got 314 more police thanks to this government. Yeah. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that we need to use some of those to get Leyland Police Response open? And will you work with me, the fabulous local police and the Police and Crime Commissioner to make that happen?
Minister. Well, I thank my honourable friend. She's a terrific campaigner, fantastic campaigner
She's an arsehole.
for her
Don't know who she is.
constituency. I discovered just
she's a
the
Tory.
other day.
A constituency he discovered the other day.
Police officers. 300 more in.
I don't know who you are, but well done.
13,576.
What do you do?
Across the whole of the country.
For reference, Ken
And,
Livingstone was
of
mayor
course,
when Crossrail
I'll be
was
very
approved.
happy to arrange the
Indeed.
relevant meetings so that we can continue.
And
to
he wasn't
drive
Prime
neighbourhood
Minister when it
crime
was supposed to be
already down
finished.
33%, drive neighbourhood
But
crime
whatever.
down even further.
Leader of the SNP, Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I'm sure the whole
Right,
House
come on,
will
Ian.
want to join me in wishing Glasgow Rangers Football Club all the best in their final tonight in Seville. It's always a joy to see Scottish clubs get to the finals of European competition. Mr. Speaker, people didn't need to see this morning's official statistics to know that we're experiencing the highest inflation in 40 years. They know it because they're living with it. Families can't afford food. They can't pay their bills. And we're only at the beginning. And as always under the Tories, the poorest are punished the most. For months, people have been crying out for support. But month after month, a distracted Downing Street has failed to lift a finger to help.
Yep.
Does the Prime Minister still support his Chancellor's insulting statement that acting now in this cost of living emergency would just be silly?
Shame. Prime Minister.
Shame.
Mr. Speaker, I support the Chancellor's work in lifting the living wage by a record amount, Mr. Speaker, by making sure people on universal credit pay £1,000 less in tax, by making sure
Maybe ask Coburn is there when the Queen turns up.
£22 billion
That's why she doesn't
into
turn up
supporting
anymore.
people with the cost of living,
Can't be gone with it in shillings.
9.1 billion already
pulling the numbers out your arse now, aren't you?
energy, and above all, I support what he has done to deliver a strong economic foundation which makes all that possible, Mr. Speaker.
Strong economic foundation.
My
We've
goodness,
got
talk about an ace
9%.
Every day this Prime Minister remains out of
9%
touch.
inflation.
People remain out of pocket. And by the way, Prime Minister, £20 a week was taken out of people's universal credit.
Yeah.
You know, the Prime Minister's just confirmed he does think it would be silly to intervene. Because the Tories' only response to this cost of living crisis has been insults and inaction. The Tory backbencher who thinks poor people, just need cooking lessons.
Yeah.
The Tory minister who thinks that people should just get a better paid job. And the Chancellor who thinks it would be silly to act now. This is the cost of living crisis from Westminster. For weeks, the Prime Minister has been briefing that it's the Treasury who are to blame for blocking financial support for struggling families. Well, Prime Minister, it's time to stop sniping from the sidelines. If this Chancellor won't deliver an emergency budget, it's time for the Prime Minister to sack the Treasury, to sack the Chancellor, and to put somebody else in office that will act.
Prime Minister.
Look, Mr. Speaker, I think that the right honourable gentleman should understand that. I want to get back to the crucial point. We've been through COVID. We're facing a spike in global energy prices, which has been greatly exacerbated by what Putin is doing in Ukraine. But to deal with it, of course, what we're doing is putting billions and billions already, 9.1 billion, into supporting people with the cost of energy. Cut fuel duty by record sums, Mr. Speaker, helping elderly people in all sorts of ways, not least through local councils with another £1 billion. But of course, Mr. Speaker, everybody in the country knows that we're not through this yet, and everybody can see that, and they all know that the government is going to do more. But they also know that the only reason
can't tell us what
we
you're
can
going to
do is because we have a strong economy.
We don't have a strong economy. We don't have a strong economy. We don't have massively high employment. We've got loads of vacancies because you told all the foreign workers to go home.
The Prime Minister will be aware of my campaign to have digitally altered images carry a label. Last week was Mental Health Awareness Week, and there are 1.25 million people with eating disorders and 1 million people using steroids.
What about my freedom of speech?
84 members of this House from 7 parties signed my open letter to companies to pledge not to alter their images in their adverts. Will the Prime Minister support that pledge? And for those who aren't taking that pledge, will he vow to make sure that we consider labelling digitally altered images where body proportions are affected?
Look, I thank my honourable friend for his fantastic campaign, and he and I have talked about it at length. And I do think there is clearly a risk to mental health as young people.
Do you know what's a risk to mental health? You fuckers! You absolute gang of gobshites are the worst, the actual worst people in charge at the worst possible fucking time. And that is destroying the mental health of millions of people in this country.
David.
Fucking
Can I join other new fans
memes, for
of
fuck's sake.
Rangers, and wish them good luck in Seville tonight? Mr. Speaker, British farmers are the best in the world. They could play a big part in the answer of how families and pensioners put food on the table during the cost of living emergency. But from Caithness to Cumbria, from Shropshire to Devon, farmers' own input costs are spiralling upwards. Animal feed up 60%, Mr. Speaker. Fertiliser prices more than doubled. Yet instead of helping Britain's own food producers, the government is slashing the support payments that farmers rely on, sometimes for up to 50% of their income, even before a new scheme is in place. So will the Prime Minister meet with farming leaders and myself to understand the extreme challenges they are facing, so our farmers can do their bit to help families and pensioners afford to put food on the table during this economic crisis.
Prime Minister.
I thank the right honourable gentleman. I can tell him that yes, I do recognise the challenges that farmers are facing with the costs of their inputs in fuel
they're not sowing the fields,
and that's
mate.
why we're working so hard.
Nothing's going to happen next year. We're going to have no harvest next year.
What we've also got to do, and not just cutting duty, but everything else that we can do to ensure that we fix the energy crisis. But what we're
going
also
to fix
doing,
again.
Mr. Speaker, is
So what are you going to
championing UK food and farming.
Are you
which
championing
has
it?
fantastic
Oh,
export
good.
markets
Yeah.
around the world.
And you've also
now has 70
degrading
free
the
trade
standards,
deals, to
so no one's
exploit,
going to want them.
in a world
Oh, we're going to sell food!
You're
You're going to sell food to Sierra Leone. Well done, knobhead. People live on less than $2 a day, and you're going to sell them cheese. You fucking knob. You don't know how anything fucking works. You've never had a proper job. You are an absolute fucking scumbag.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would my right honourable friend join me in thanking my constituents in Hertford and Stortford who are offering help and refuge to Ukrainians suffering from and fleeing the Russian invasion?
Oh yeah, you've made it nice and easy for people to get into the country, haven't you? Demanding that they have visas. Visas. The only country in the whole of Europe that requires visas. Yeah, pat yourself on the back, you gang of twats.
Are rightly concerned
Go
about
fuck yourself.
ongoing Russian aggression.
Yeah. What about his mate, his little pimp lord mate, his mate who organises sex parties for him? We put in the House of Lords, unelected lawmaker for life. Gobshite.
Up and down the country.
Gobshite.
Have constituents who are being incredibly generous. I think we can all be proud of the UK's efforts. Yes, Mr. Speaker,
Fishing
it's
and
true
farming are
that,
fucked.
the
The NHS
UK
is screwed.
signed historic
Education is
declarations
unfunding.
the other day
When
with
it's a
Sweden
revolution.
and
Can't come soon
Finland
enough.
to reinforce our security, our mutual security, and to fortify Europe's defences. And I think it has been a massive step change in our cooperation, a thoroughly good thing, and it has been driven, Mr. Speaker, in the cases of both Sweden and Finland by the people themselves who see the logic of NATO membership.
Mr. Brandishaw.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Home Office, Health, and others now regularly take 6 months to respond to letters to ministers. Immigration cases wait years to hear anything at all. But instead of putting resources into fixing this unacceptable problem, the Prime Minister is choosing to fire thousands of civil servants. And his ministers wander around Whitehall putting post-it notes on desks he thinks looks too empty. Will the Prime Minister personally look into this issue and instruct his ministers and civil servants to give our constituents the attention they deserve?
Prime Minister.
I thank him very much, but I have to say that, Mr. Speaker, I must respectfully disagree with the implication that for the civil service that working from home is everywhere as productive as being in the office and returning. And I simply don't accept that.
You work from home.
You
work from home, you fucking blob.
And more efficient.
You mad mountain of mad flesh. You work from fucking home. Chancellor Exchequer works from home.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. Following my campaign, Wittenley Weir Primary School is now being granted 350 grand for improvement works by Durham County Council. The only time that this has happened is now, after Labour lost control of the council, the first time in over 100 years last year. Villarreal School, Ledgate Primary School and Concert Juniors in North West Durham are also going to be applying for the Condition Improvement Fund. So can I urge my honourable friend to ensure that those cases are taken as seriously as possible? But would my right honourable friend more broadly agree with me that education is a cornerstone of levelling up and ensuring more good jobs are available locally in County Durham too? So that it's more than just a place to bring friends for a social evening of beer and takeaway curry.
Oh my God. They're still banging on about this.
Sorry, Prime Minister, just I've got a real problem. Some people aren't going to get in. And we've seen the time now, and we're only on question 16. I wanted everybody to help each other. So we can speed up, we might get a few more in, Prime Minister.
Well, I just want to thank my honourable friend, who's a massive champion for his constituency of North West Durham, and I'm delighted that he's been a supporter of County Durham's bid for City of Culture, culture in its widest interpretation, and I support him in everything he does.
What? What a pointless fucking question.
I'm
what
sure
even
the
was
Prime
that?
Minister knows that this is Dementia Awareness Week, and I'm proud that the Dementia Research Institute now calls Wales home. In 2019, the Tory manifesto promised to double funding for dementia research, but the researchers are still waiting for this money. So, can the Prime Minister tell me, in this Dementia Action Week, when the dementia moonshot will be delivered?
Mr. Speaker, we intend fully to deliver the dementia moonshot, but never forget, Mr. Speaker, that this was the party that voted against £13 billion a year extra for the NHS.
What? What the fuck are you on about? Another lie? He just stands there and lies.
I know that I'm not alone in dealing with many
Get him to
constituents
correct the
facing
record.
delays to renewing their passports and driving licences. In Göttingen, there have been cases of family reunions in jeopardy and drivers nearly having job offers withdrawn because of delays to renewals. Can my right honourable friend assure me that everything is being done that is possible to
Where's
be done
your
in
chin?
government to address this problem, so we can get the good folk of Göttingen back on the road in a way.
Bloody hell!
Mr. Speaker, I'm
Beaker?
told that the driving
Professor
licences are
Bunsen
now being
Burners,
issued
mate. Remember him from the
faster than they were.
Muppets?
There are I'm told
Actually,
no
a Tory
delays in
MP.
successful online driving licence applications,
My
and
God.
customers should receive their licence within.
I've been calling the Tories Muppets for years now. Look at him!
I
Oh my
trust
God, it's Beaker! It's Beaker from the
Let me
Muppets!
know.
Alex Sobel. Thank
What
you, Mr.
the
Speaker. Prime Minister, food
Years of
prices are
inbreeding.
going up, rents are going up, energy costs are going up. Every day I've got more and more constituents coming to me to say they thought the day would never come. Things just cost too much. At the same time, people are anchored to the minimum wage, working 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs on low wages, within work benefits. They just can't afford it. At the same time, we have the Minister, the Honourable Lady Member for Edgett, saying to survive they should take on more hours or get a better job. Does the Prime Minister agree with his Minister, or does he agree with me that we should have an emergency budget?
Minister. Mr. Speaker,
emergency budget.
I accept that. That, of course,
no
there are
emergency.
economic
Emergency, what
pressures on
emergency?
our country now caused by
caused by you, caused by 12 years of you gobshites being in charge of our country. You shite! You big testicular turd!
All the other measures, billions and billions of tax that we're putting into supporting incomes, Mr. Speaker. But the reason we can do that is because we have strong economic fundamentals.
Jesus, no, we don't. The economy's in the shit. Inflation's through the roof.
1974. And that is giving us the foundation.
Oh my
to take our
God!
country forward.
Unemployment is only low.
Speaker, the
As a
Airedale
statistic.
Hospital recently submitted its bid to be one
There's
of
so many
government's
job
new
opportunities
hospitals,
now,
and this is
so many
because
vacancies,
the
and if
Airedale
you
has
work
an
for
extremely
1 hour,
high structural
it's
risk
counted as
profile,
having a full-time job.
83% of the building being constructed from aerated concrete. There are several wards
All right,
that
Charlie.
are closed due to structural risk, and the hospital is now over 20 years beyond its original life expectancy. So can the Prime Minister personally assure me that we will be able to deliver a new Airedale hospital which is fit for the future?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there's a lot
Yes,
of pressure for me to get
30 new hospitals, 40 new hospitals, 50 new hospitals,
I can tell him
all
that
these new
We're
hospitals.
reviewing all applications for the next 8 hospitals in our new hospital programme, which is the biggest in a generation, Mr. Speaker. Only possible because we have a strong
Yeah, he's
economy,
gaslighting
Mr.
the nation.
Speaker.
Fucking lying
we'll
sack
make a
of
fi-
shit.
he's
You
a
lying
campaigner for his
sack of
constituents. We'll make a
shit.
final decision later this year.
Go fuck yourself to
Thank
death.
you, Mr. Speaker. On the 26th of February, a private charter flight to Moscow was allowed to take off from Inverness Airport, an apparent breach of a UK ban on flights of that nature, which had come into effect from midnight the day before. Now, air traffic control transcripts published this week in the Press and Journal newspaper have revealed that despite being informed of the intended flight, no attempt was made by the UK government or its agencies to prevent the plane from taking off.
Wow.
Will the Prime Minister commit to informing the House at the earliest opportunity who was travelling on that flight, why, despite being informed in advance of the flight, was no attempt made by the UK government to keep the plane on the ground, and what will the Prime Minister personally do to try and prevent any similar breaches of sanctions from happening in the future?
Yes.
I thank him very much. I'll make sure that the...
Yeah, go on. Answer that.
As soon as we can get some... I don't know the answer to his question, but as soon as we can get some information about that, Mr. Speaker, I'll make sure the House is properly informed.
Oh, right, like when it's informed that you lie every fucking chance you
Earlier
get.
this week, the Planning Inspectorate waved through a decision by Labour councillors to build a massive logistics hub in South Warrington. The plans are contrary to national policy, entirely in the Greenbelt, and have been approved despite more than 1,000 letters of objection. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that listening to local communities and protecting our precious Greenbelt must be at the heart of planning policy?
6 million people signed a petition to stop Brexit.
Have their voices heard.
They didn't get their voices heard, did they?
Mr. Speaker, local residents could have no more powerful voice than that of my honourable friend. The House will have heard him loud and clear. I know the Ministry, Department of Levelling Up, will have heard him loud and clear. I will make sure that he gets the relevant meeting.
I'm the Department of Levelling down.
No bullying and no harassment, no leaking, no misuse of taxpayers' money, and no actual or perceived conflicts of interest. The precious principles of public life enshrined in this document must be honoured at all time. Those, Mr. Speaker, are the Prime Minister's own words from the Ministerial Code. So can the Prime Minister tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how's he doing with keeping to those principles?
I think 10 out of 10, Mr. Speaker. Because,
10 out of 10.
We believe,
oh my God! He
in
lives in a fucking parallel dimension, alternative reality.
Ministerial Code, and
this cunt lives in another fucking universe.
An important point because, Mr. Speaker,
fuck you.
There's a lot of attacks on MPs. On what goes on in this
Minus
place.
12.
And I think it is always worth stressing that the vast majority of people who work in the House of Commons
are scumbags. All the ones on your side.
Are doing a very
all
good
the
job
fuckers on your
very
side.
hard and are
Gobshites.
not misbehaving.
Gobshites to a man. Misbehaving. Fucking raping.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Abusing children.
First Molson has welcomed
lying to the House, lying to the Queen.
From all parts of the world, including Syria and the Ukraine. But the government's plans just announced from the 31st of May.
Fucking hell, someone's wrote Nosferatu.
What will be up to 1,500 non-detained young single males from different parts of the world, asylum seekers, on a base that will be the centre of a small rural village of 600 people, children, all the way through to elderly residents. That village without streetlights, without police presence.
Okay.
It will devastate the community.
Right.
It will devastate house prices, which will plummet.
Okay,
and the
house prices. Right.
Will not feel safe to leave their homes alone.
Yeah. Okay.
Will my right honourable friend please, on behalf of the community, please stop these plans?
Put it somewhere else. Put it somewhere else. Not in my backyard.
I thank him very much.
NIMBY. You like Phil?
I know that the my right friend, the Home Secretary, is engaging with him.
Send everyone to Rwanda
about the use of the site, and I would.
What a fucking scumbag! So they're going to be putting asylum seekers who have committed no crime near a village.
The strength of feeling in his constituency.
Bag of racist fucknuts in his village.
Meetings between him
and the Home Office about what plane full of fucking Tories.
That ends questions. We're going to let
that out. That'll do.
Let it clear while.
Yeah. I'll go fuck yourself to death. All right. Cunts. Hello again. Hello, everyone. They're wrapping up now. So, thank you for joining me at Not Safe for Work PMQs. I'm sorry we've not been able to do this last few weeks. Obviously, we didn't have PMQs last week because Boris Johnson was in Sweden, and the week before that, it was Easter recess, and the week before that, it was still the Easter recess. So I've not had the chance to do this for a while, and also I've been going back and forth to Ukraine. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I'm not actually in my studio anymore. The studio has been converted into a lovely bedroom now for our refugees who are going to be staying with us, Katharina and her daughter Angelina. We're still trying to get them out of Ukraine at the moment. It has proved to be a ball ache on a scale you would not believe, because Britain is the most unwelcoming country in the world for Ukrainian refugees, which is quite impressive, really, when you think about it. Anyway, so another problem that we've had is that when I went a couple of weeks ago to bring over Natasha and her children and her dog from Poland, they're from Ukraine, but they came from Poland, took them to Stockport. We had to leave the dog in Germany, just on the border with Luxembourg. because of new Brexit regulations about bringing dogs into the country. And as a result, we've been waiting now 3 weeks to bring the dog into the country. I was going to go tomorrow in Kieran's step wagon, but two problems. First of all, Kieran's got COVID and he's really ill at the moment. So if you want to send him get well soon messages on Twitter, feel free to do so. It's at VanManEuro is his handle. But secondly, the dog's certificate still hasn't come through. And don't forget, because of Brexit, if you go on holiday with your animal now, if you go on holiday with your pet dog, you've been able to do that for years as a member of the EU and just use your EU pet passport to do that. You can't do that anymore. You have to put your dog into quarantine now when you come into the UK. It's 3 months, and although you don't have to keep it in a cage like somewhere else in a facility like you used to have to do, which the Brexiteers obviously wanted us to bring back because they hate dogs, they hate dog owners, they hate animals, they hate humans, they hate everyone because that's why they voted for Brexit. The situation is now that you have to quarantine your animal at home. So if you have other animals in the home, they have to be quarantined as well. So if you have a dog and a cat and you go away and put the cat in the cattery or leave them at neighbours and then take your dog with you, when your dog comes back, both your dog and your cat have to go into quarantine in your house for 3 months. So your cat can't leave your house for 3 months, which is really, really unhealthy for a cat and for your dog. Obviously, you won't be able to go for walkies. I hope you've got a backyard. Hey, Brexit, you're so fine. You're so fine. You blow my mind. Anyway, so another bit of more exciting news that I've got, because obviously I don't know if I'm going to go and pick Oliver the dog up this week. I'm hoping to either leave tomorrow, come back on Friday, or maybe go over the weekend, or maybe go with Kieran on Monday. If you do that, don't worry, I will be broadcasting to you along the way. I'll be doing some more UK for UKR live streaming, and I will be going back to the Ukrainian border and perhaps even into Ukraine in a couple of weeks' time. It's a lot safer now to travel into to Lviv, so I might be doing that with Gordon the medic, who we delivered a 4x4 to a couple of weeks ago. Well, actually, no, we brought him back to the UK for him to take the 4x4 to Ukraine, because nothing works out quite how you want it to. But yeah, in other news, I've been asked to do some work with Labour, the Labour Party, setting up a social media channel with them, and yeah, that should be exciting for the next few weeks. So I'll be doing a lot of work on that. I'll let you know more about it when I know more about it, but it won't be official, so I won't have to run everything through Labour HQ, but hopefully we'll be able to use their ident and have a little bit of freedom about what we do, but also have access to Labour politicians, Labour activists, people in Labour who might want to speak to us, and basically help get the Tories out, which is the name of the game here, ladies and gentlemen, the name of the game. So yeah, all that to look forward to. All things being equal, I should be driving Kieran's Stepwagon tomorrow to go and pick up the dog. If I'm not, I might, and I'm here in Durham, I might do an episode of Hughes of the World, because I haven't done one for 2 months. So I still think I've got to do Côte d'Ivoire, so we'll get Côte d'Ivoire out of the way, and I'll see if I can get all the C's done. There's a bunch of C's here. But yeah, get all these C's done, and then hopefully delve into the D's. There's not that many countries that begin with D, is there? Dominican Republic, Djibouti, Denmark? Done. Okay, so yeah, we have to toe the party line. No, number 3. So the way it'll work, Richard, is that we'll have access to Labour politicians and things like that. I will have a style sheet, if you like, of what do's and don'ts, things like that, which I'll agree with the party. But so it's going to be sort of semi-official by the sound of things. It might not be official at all. It might just be completely unofficial, and I might get sued for using their ident. But hopefully we won't. But yeah, what I'm hoping is that it will give us access to Labour politicians to invite them on and talk about their policies and talk about what they're going to do to get the Tories out, because that's what we need to do more above anything else. And also, I mean, obviously, I'll be pushing my side of what I think Labour should be doing, obviously hugely against Brexit, and obviously I'm a huge supporter of a progressive alliance with the Greens and the Lib Dems in order to get the Tories out, and voting reform in order that the Tories never get back into power ever again, because the vast majority of people in this country are progressives. The problem is that vote is split between 3 parties in England, and it results in a Tory government more times than not you know, a majority of 43%, which doesn't sound like a majority to me. Okay. So yeah, hopefully I won't have to. I'm not going to do it if I have to toe the party line, or if I have to be nice to everyone, or if I feel like I'm being censored in that way. I just simply won't do it. But if I can get into a situation where we as a community get access to these people in charge and actually be able to have a two-way conversation with them, and obviously I'll be doing live stuff where you'll be able to put chats in and things like that, obviously heavily moderated because we will get trolls, of course, but yeah, and then down the line, Discord server, that kind of thing, dedicated to allowing people to have a chat, and obviously moderated, so we won't allow trolls or crazy people, or you know, people who just want to watch the world burn. They can go and find their own Discord server to party on. Okay, so that's enough for me. I'm sorry, I'm blabbling on while Stephen Kinnock here is probably saying really important stuff on the screen, but I can't go full screen at the moment because, like I say, I'm in front of a little pop-out green screen behind me. I'm in my couch. I'm not on my couch, but I'm in my living room, and yeah, need to set up the studio a bit better tomorrow. Sorry, I was late getting started. At the last minute, I wasn't getting any sound through my headphones. I could see the sound was coming through for you guys because I could see the meter bouncing up and down on the screen there, but the sound meter, but I couldn't hear anything, so I was like fiddling around trying to get that sorted. Did in the end. It was a bit crackly, wasn't it? I've got to sort that out, maybe get a new sound card for my laptop if I can do that. Alistair Campbell might be useful, indeed. And about this Tory, before I go, about this Tory that's been arrested for multiple counts of rape. He's been bailed, because obviously he's a millionaire, they all are, and he can afford that kind of thing. What I find very concerning is the fact that the conviction for rape in the UK is so low, it might as well be zero. It might as well be zero. So there's a good chance that this motherfucker's going to get away with it. And if he does, I've never been one for mob justice or, you know, burning torches and pitchforks, but it might be a good place to start. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Okay, so thank you for watching. I'll be back tomorrow either with a live stream heading off to Germany to pick up Oliver the dog, the adorable Maltese dog of Natasha and her kids. And then taking him to Stockport on Friday, or I'll be back with a Hughes of the World for you on my travel channel. So yeah, that's it really. Take care, and I'll be seeing you, I hope. It's not Action Man Francois. No, it's not. I think if you want to know who everyone thinks the Tory rapist is, or the alleged rapist is, if you go to Twitter and just type in Tory rapist, you'll find out pretty quickly. Okay, so but yeah, that's it for now for me, and I just want to say thank you so much to all of my patrons, all the people who have supported me through the last through the last couple of months. We raised over £20,000 for UKR, nearly all of which has now been distributed either one way or another, either through giving money to people, which we did quite a lot of, but also buying aid, buying medicine, also the cost of travelling to the Ukraine and dropping people off where they needed to go to. I'd like to do some more journeys. Obviously, you know, this war isn't going to end anytime soon, and even when it does, there's going to be a lot of people who need to be repatriated once the place has been rebuilt, and that could take quite a long time. So yeah, we're kind of in it for the long haul. It would be nice if we could set things up so every 2 weeks there was a regular thing to go out, and it wasn't so ad hoc. At the moment it's kind of like putting things together at the last minute, a million things go wrong, trying to mitigate all these problems and trying to just get across there and just do it. But yeah, we really need to have it so that we know what we're doing from the start, know where we're going, what we're dropping off, and who we're picking up, and all that kind of stuff. But that just hasn't been possible, and that's not anyone's fault. It's just been the way things have. It's just been the way things have played out, I guess. So yeah. So I'm going to just give you this list of. It's my wonderful Patreon list. Is this working? Oh, there it is. Good. Okay, so I'm going to leave you at my list of wonderful patrons. I don't know if this needs updating. And also my YouTube members. If you want to support me, this channel, head over to Patreon. It's patreon.com/thatgingerscouser, and you can chip in and help me in all my deeds and misdeeds, and that would be great. Otherwise, head over to ukforukr.com. There's blogs on there about my travels to Ukraine, but there's also opportunities to donate towards the next journey that's going to happen soon, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And finally, if you've got no money to give, that's fine. We're all feeling the pinch of the increased cost of living, the increase in fuel prices, the increase in heating prices, the increase in energy prices, I should say, the increase in food prices. But if you could just let other people in your life who might enjoy this kind of content know that this exists, and also that they can help directly people in Ukraine via the ukforukr.com website, which allows people to see where the money's going. You can actually see you're spending the money on the live streams. So if you want to do that and help out in that way, even a share could be worth hundreds of pounds, because you don't know who's going to see that share, who's going to say, oh great, I'll put some money in that. So if you do that for us, that would be great. So thanks very much, and until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.